Okay. The Building and Facilities Construction Committee meeting of Thursday, March 17th at 4 p.m. is beginning. And I want to say we are at 4:12. Okay. First of all, I'd like to say that Sean Holland has been excused. And secondly, I'd like to welcome a new member, Bob Wormy, who has stepped up to the plate and will be joining us. He has been sworn in and ready to go. I would like everyone to give their name as we go around the table so that the recorder knows who is talking. And I'll ask Ginger first because she's via telephone.
Okay, Ginger Howe.
All right.
And fair warning, I will have people coming into this house and my dogs may go berserk, so.
Okay. All right, go ahead, Linda.
Linda Brown.
Bob Wormy.
Fred Fontaine.
And we have the administrator with us, and I'm Shirley Masinski, chair. And we do have a visitor, Howard, I believe.
Howard Gerber from...
Howard Gerber from Equity Engineering.
And so if no one objects, I think we should start with him because he is a guest and giving us some information. So welcome, Howard, and thank you.
I need to ask the question. Who is the host? Matt, are you the host?
No,
No.
this is Building and Facilities Committee.
I need the host of the meeting to enable sharing screen.
He's talking about technology.
Oh, that's no.
Technology. Who's hosting the meeting?
Are we running it from back there, or is Pat online? I don't think Pat's online.
No, he's not online.
So are we hosting from the laptop? Oh, he's got it back there.
Try that.
I think you're a co-host now, Howard.
Yes. So I will bore you with all these wonderful details.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to keep this at a high level just so everybody can get the big picture. So we have details that I have to kind of clean up, but we're showing a duck bank.
Oh, could you please explain what you're talking about?
Yes.
Yep. So this is the best picture right here. So this is your building. You are here.
The municipal,
Well, what the project is.
So Howard's the engineer you picked to do the
Yeah.
engineering for the electricity and generator here in this building. The generator in particular.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay,
So the scope of the project is to provide standby power to the whole municipal center.
right.
So in the event of a power outage, the whole building will be operational as if nothing happened. That is the goal. Basically, the existing transformer that feeds the building is down over here, on the bottom left. We got the generator, kind of, I'll say on the grassy knoll, for lack of a better term, on the right-hand side of the building.
Okay.
And basically add an automatic transfer switch to intercept the existing feeders from the utility company, which would combine with the generator feeder, and then just reconnect to the existing equipment in the basement. So there'll be no work really in the building other than reconnecting the wires to the main switch in the basement. That will keep the shutdown to a minimal within the building and keep costs to as minimal as possible. The only other work in the building is demolishing the generator in the back. And we can leave the pad there, with the generator. And in the police portion, we have that existing automatic transfer switch in that closet. To keep the cost down again, my thought was basically to take the guts out of the transfer switch and just have them splice the normal side to the load. And that way, you don't have to do any other work there. Just splice the two cables together, and this generator will now provide power to the whole building. To keep it as simple as possible. And to kind of confuse you a little bit, this is what the basement looks right now. You have 800 amp main switch that feeds the two 400 amp, one to feed the existing building and one to feed the new addition of town. What we're going to do is basically put this transfer switch in front of the building. It has to have a main breaker in it. It will become the new service entrance, and basically these will just be downstream from it. So it's like the only work was going to be is the cables that are in this right now, this piece of equipment, runs from the transformer into the equipment. We're going to terminate them earlier over here at the HES, and then I run new this short distance from the building. If you want, I can show you. I can show you on Google if that would help where I'm talking about. That'd be helpful to people.
Be
Tell me what
helpful?
you would like.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
All right. Like I said, I work for you, so you tell me what works for you, and I do it. I just happen to have it already open on my computer. Give me 1 second. And I will share. But the town hall closes soon.
That's all right.
So, so right now, the existing oil tank you have is right here.
Yes.
The transformer is right there. The main electric room right now is approximately right over here in this corner of the building. And the intent is to put the generator up in this grassy knoll to the right of the addition. And it will basically come down, come across the front, intercept the cables that run from here into the building, put the ATS up here, if I can, no, it doesn't want to play nice and give me anything in between other than those two views. But basically, on the top, right in front of the walkway with the ATS.
Okay.
And in the building, I'm not sure if everybody's been in the building or not, at least in the basement of the building. Give me 1 second, I can show you what the basement looks like. So, in the basement, we have that's what. Give me 1 second, I'll share this now. Yeah. So right now in the basement, these two large conduits above are where the utility company right now feeds the building. So the intent is outside the building is to intercept these two. They basically can take them out of here, shorten them, so they'll be long enough to reach obviously into the automatic transfer system outside, and then we need new conductors just from the outside, reusing these same conduits back into here. The only part that's a little tricky is, let me just do this. I think I have to, I apologize, I have a lot of stuff open, so I'm trying to minimize what Zoom has to do. So that's kind of a little better picture of the generator. We've got to go right there. The only part that's a little tricky is, for some reason, and I can't tell you why, when they did the work out at the site, they crisscrossed the oil line and the utility feed. And what I mean by that is, give me 1 second. And I'm blocking my own picture, so it's like I need the right picture. This one. But if you look at this picture again, on the top right here, that's where the oil lines come in, I believe. So the oil lines are really, you can picture the building the main motor is right in front of us, and the transformer is to the right, the oil tank is to the left. And for some reason, they crisscrossed the line underground somewhere, so when we excavate, it just happens to be a very careful excavation to make sure that we don't hit anything. Because we don't want to hit anything.
No, we don't.
No, we do not. Do not like hitting things. Again, getting back over to here, right now, the oil tank lines, I think, and I'm going to say I think, that this works for me. I'm a terrible artist, I apologize, so I'm going to draw terribly, but the oil tank lines run basically like that. And they come in on the other side, and this is those two conduits we saw coming, right now they come all the way down to here. Am I making sense, I hope?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yes.
All right, good. It makes sense to me, but to put that, it makes sense to you folks. So that's where we are as far as the drawing. They're probably 80% done. They're still going to do details for the concrete pad, for the ATS, the concrete pad, for the generator. I'm waiting for a call back right now from a vendor from Generac. I did talk to Generac, and they said right now, generators and transfer switches, the size we want, are running about 26 weeks. So it's much better than it was.
Yes.
It was like 45, 50 weeks. He had some concern. I told him, we really want to try to use this oil tank to feed the generator. And he said, because of the distance from here to here and the lift, we'd have to put a pump station down here to do it. So the generator can't suck that far. And he said the cost to do all this, it's probably cheaper to put a bigger tank in under the generator. So I don't know which route we want to pursue. That's a decision that leaves to you folks. I'm going to say I truly believe the less expensive route is going to be just to put the day tank in, the base tank under it instead of day tank. Because the cost of labor now and material is so high, to have to trench all this, to put the pipe in, and to put power down here now and everything else, it's going to be very, very costly. As we all know, everything costs more now. So we recommend just keeping this simple and just putting a tank. Now this is going to be fairly large. And what I say by that is it's probably going to be 10 feet tall. In that range. So one of the things we would have to consider is do we have them build a, either a metal or wood stand around it so you can actually work on the generator without using a ladder. We just did a job for another city hall and for Haverhill, and they didn't do that themselves. They had the town carpenter build a little set of stairs because the generator's on a hill and it ended up being like 7 feet off the ground. I am calling out, my specs are just about done. The only part of the specs I haven't done, and I can show you the specs just to, not that you doubt me for a second, but I always try to do a show and tell. So the specs are pretty much all done. The only thing I have to do is the transfer switch and update the general conditions, what drawings we're going to have. And I do learn from other projects, and on the Hazel job, because the generator is so tall, to fill the generator, you can imagine the other truck comes up, the guy has the nozzle, and he has to put it into the generator enclosure to fill, but the fill pipe is at the base of that enclosure. There's like a 2-foot lip where the door is. So I asked the generator company, I said, don't you offer an extension? He goes, oh yeah, we offer it. but it's an option, not a standard thing. So on this job, just let you know, I already put in the spec that they own adding an extension to allow, 18-inch extension to allow for easy fill. So you don't have to worry about dripping oil and stuff. But right now, the specs are probably 90% done. The drawings are probably like 80%. I just gotta add some details and clean things up on both ends. I'm assuming we're gonna go through bid docs to bid it. Or project doc, whatever you prefer.
Yeah, whatever you prefer, actually, Howard, that's going to be, because contract administration is part of our work with you, right? It's part of our contract?
Yeah, but you pay for it.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, bid docs, we work with them all the time. I probably have, 8 jobs, 10 jobs right now with Laura. So we like doing bid docs. They take care of the front end. The only thing I need you for the front end for is all the stuff that you want, meaning, if we're going to show the town, the council is part of the people, like we do housing authorities, they want us to list all the board members. Any insurance requirements you have, anything special that's not boilerplate. Usually it comes from the town legal office. That you met.
By default. Yeah, so when it's ready to go, we'll give it a once-over, and I'll corral legal counsel to help. I could also send you our sample contract that we use for all Chapter 149 projects.
Perfect.
And you can pick the language out of that.
That's what I'll do.
I don't think we have anything unusual, Howard. I think we have all the typical, labor harmony and commercial liability limits. I think it's all the same.
Right. Yeah, this is not a high job with no section.
Right.
3 or anything.
Yeah.
So that's fine. Yeah, right now is St. Patrick's Day. My goal is to have everything to you before April Fool's Day.
Okay. Thank you.
We'll go by memorable holidays, basically in 2 weeks, because the 31st is the end of this month.
Time's going by too fast. All right.
Oh, trust me, we all can relate. The older you get, the faster time goes. People sit there and go, oh, I can't wait until Friday, and I go, it's Thursday already? It was just Monday. I need 3 more days in every week to get my work done, so.
Hear you. Okay.
And unfortunately, technology makes it worse.
Right. So I'm just going to go around the room and see if anyone has any questions of you.
Yep.
And thank you for the input. I do have one person on phone, and Ginger Howe. Ginger, do you have any questions?
I would have to think about that.
All right. Linda?
No?
Nope.
Bob? Fred?
No questions.
All right. And I don't either.
But I do.
So,
May I?
yes.
So is it the consensus then of this committee that you agree with Howard's recommendation that you don't want a day tank with a pump, you want a tank dedicated for the generator?
That's what I would do.
I think so. It seems a lot simpler to do it that way.
Yeah.
And that is coming.
The other thing is, you have to burn ultra-low sulfur fuel in the 6,000 gallon tank to meet the EPA requirements for the generator.
Okay.
So I don't know what you're burning right now for the boiler, but you have to replace any fuel with ultra-low sulfur fuel if you want to use that tank for the generator.
Yeah, we're not the biggest fans of day tanks around here. We've had a less than positive experience with our existing day tank inside the building. I just want to be sure I understand from you, or that we talk through the maintenance requirements and how often we have to turn that fuel over in the tank so when the generator clicks on, it's not grabbing stale fuel.
I will find out from the generator people, who will be a call back from Generac, but I believe typically once a year when they come out and do their yearly maintenance, you have them polish the fuel,
Okay.
they test it and do whatever they have to do with it. And the only question I have for you folks is, how long do you want the generator to have enough fuel to run, so I can size the tank?
That'd be a question for public safety.
Yeah.
I think, Howard, that, well, I'm going to give you a number, that just somewhere between, or is there a big difference between 48 and 72 hours?
Hold on a second. Give me 1 second, because I think I have... No, it closed. I'm one of those people that have 1,000 things open at once, so give me 1 second.
And just so, you know, everybody's clear on this, we are a recommending committee to the Board of Selectmen. We don't make the final decisions. We recommend on information that we have gathered.
Understood. You tell them what you think they should do, and they do whatever they want. Is that about right?
Hey,
I think they'd listen more than that.
I used to be a town meeting member in my town many years ago, so I understand. I'm going to share one more thing with you just before I got here. So I'm assuming we're going to put in a level 2 sound, which is the highest level of sound attenuation. You do have some neighbors near you.
yes, very close.
Yeah. Now, just so you, again, I'm an anal engineer, so I look at stuff and I try to find things that are wrong. So I'm a little confused because if I have a weather enclosure, it says 84 hours on basically a 1,000-gallon tank. But if I go to the sound level enclosure, same 1,000-gallon tank, but somehow now it's only 48 hours. And I don't know why the size of the enclosure would make the generator run that much less with the same amount of fuel. So I have to talk to them about it. But basically, if we ignore these and go up to this one, so, you know, so basically, I'll call that 1 day, 2 days, you know, then you get into 4 days. So this is kind of like your, not quite 3 days. And the size is what changes significantly between the 700-gallon tank and the basically 946-gallon tank. It's another 52 inches longer, so it's 4 feet longer. But I don't think cost-wise, I can find out cost-wise what it is. I think tomorrow I can have an answer for you. But my point over here was the height. They're about 109, 110 inches tall, so it's about 9 feet tall. You put it on a concrete pad, it gets close to 10 feet tall. Mm-hmm. So now these doors are, you know, 5 feet in the air. Yeah, 4 feet in the air, depending on how big the tank is. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, this is the weatherproof. I'm sorry, I didn't go here to this point. So it's 132 inches. So it's like 11 feet in the air. So that's another reason why I said we do have to think about how you want to be able to access the generator. You can't just walk up to it at that point. I don't know if the town has the handy carpenter or something you want to include in our scope, whatever for you.
We would definitely want to include it in your scope. And I'm tending towards recommending to everybody a 3-day or close to 3-day supply and the fuel. Because the staff that I have that would be tending to this thing in the event that we lost power for that long is probably also the staff that would be plowing the roads or removing trees. So I have to be cognizant of the fact that Adam in particular won't be available to just drop everything he's doing to come put fuel in the generator at Town Hall.
Right, and the good news is, this is at full capacity,
Yeah,
you know, and I'm actually sizing the generator a little bit bigger than the utility company transformer.
okay,
The reason being is, neither one is sized fully for the service in the building. You know, the building has 800 amp service. I'm giving you about, 600 amps worth of generator, and the utility company gives you about 500 amps worth of power from the utility company. They can change out their transformer easily if they need to. We can't change out the generator easily if we need to, so I'm making it a little bit bigger than the utility transformer, just in case in the future we want to add some more stuff we don't know about. 10 years from now, they ban all, fossil fuels, everything has to go to electric. We know,
Right.
we know about to put ourselves in the corner. So, but yeah, so I gotta verify this runtime. I think it's supposed to be 84, 48, or 90, but that's at full load. So at half load, you're gonna get a lot longer. You're gonna get 6-7 days out of it. So hopefully there's no storm that requires you not to be able to be filled. And the idea is, you call up the company and have them top it up before any storms are coming, so you have a full tank. The power outage, somebody hits a tree, if the tank's down to 3/4 of the tank, you're not gonna have to worry about, that one tree being replaced, one pole being replaced, taking 3 days.
Okay.
I myself couldn't make a recommendation without knowing the difference in the price, the cost.
Right.
I will get you a cost breakdown for, I'm looking at these, because this makes more sense. I'll look at, this 700 gallon and the 940 gallon, and just for heck of it, the biggest one. Yeah.
Okay.
These three. We know we don't want a day, we don't want 2 days, we don't want 2.5 days. So it's going to be the 3 largest ones. I'll get the price difference and availability, just in case there's a huge availability difference.
right.
Right. Anyone else? Any comments, questions? No. I think, basically we're counting on your expertise and finding out this under your contract right now and hearing about it, and then we can get the information and then make a recommendation to the Board of Selectmen.
Perfect. And anybody has any questions, Matt has my information. Feel free to call me, text me, email me, whatever works for people.
All right.
And, anybody have any questions, then just feel free to reach out to me.
All right. Thank you, Howard.
All right. Thank you all for having me, and have a good week.
You too.
Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
We're good, thanks, Howard.
Yep. Bye.
Okay, lots of information to digest. We'll go back up to the beginning and briefly, if we can just run through the agenda and get on to the fire station upgrade and go through that. So, Matt, do you have any input for us on the library? I understand they're in the process of a ceiling contract, right?
So the project was put out to bid. We had a low bidder. The low bidder's information has been forwarded to the Library Board of Trustees for their final action.
Okay,
I've asked them to have the form of a motion where they direct me to enter into the contract and sign it on their behalf so that the work can begin. But the contract, the low bidder was well below the budget.
okay.
Okay.
And it's below the 50,000, so really it doesn't come under our jurisdiction.
Yes and no. I mean, it was bid out on a much higher budget. We don't know what people are going to bid,
Right.
right? So it did come in well under what we had originally budgeted. We had a very conservative budget when we started, so.
Okay. What happened, Bob, just briefly, is that the ceiling, the horsehair ceiling was starting to fall apart, and So they're in the process of getting that corrected.
Okay.
Green energy,
Matt Benoit had put something in our packet.
yeah. So he has, this is from Matt Benoit, and due to unexpected turn of events, he's unable to be with us, but so on February 3rd, the town was awarded $104,947 to fund the following projects. $17,769 to the fire department for LED lighting, $4,769 for the senior center LED lighting, and $67,750 for high school LED lighting, and $9,659 the fire department, again, weatherization, and $5,000 to the town for administrative assistance. That's great. So he mentions a kickoff meeting with the local utility providers, grant administrator, project expediter, CMRPC administration, and Matt Wojcik and I on Monday, March 7th, which is the mandatory first step to commencing projects. Matt, you have anything you'd like to add to this?
Just by way of explanation, just so that folks who don't follow this have the information they need. Energy projects are exempt from the procurement statutes of the state. The state powers that be and the utilities conducted competitive bids for what are called project expediters, contractors that are authorized to do specific types of projects within the energy efficiency project universe, if you want to call it that. And once we pick an expediter, and in this case we use Northeast, they manage all of our Green Communities awards by selecting contractors that are on the list, and they have a preset price, and they use appliances and fixtures that are approved for price upfront as part of their competitive bidding process. So we won't have to do any of that for these projects, which is nice. These LED light projects tend to be big winners in terms of their overall return on investment. Usually within 2 years, they pay for themselves. The high school, I think, is actually less than 2 years because it's a very inefficient building. So we're talking to them about doing this, the high school project in particular in the summertime, so that when the kids come back to school, there won't be any interference. So.
Okay. Anyone have any questions for Matt on these projects?
No.
Okay. All right, keep us informed. The next item is the generator, which we've heard, and progress is being made, and you're sad, Adam and people that work are very satisfied with how it's going?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Bad Luck Pond Outlet Bridge, pray for good weather so it can get paid.
So this morning, we finally got an update from the contractor. They are going to remobilize the first week of April and look to complete the project within 2 weeks after remobilizing.
All right,
So hopefully, weather permitting, knock on wood, that bridge will be reopened. I'm going to say April 30th, just so that give ourselves a little bit of wiggle room.
yeah, okay.
Not much is left to be done there.
I think it's the paving process.
Yeah, there's a membrane that needs to be set on top of the concrete so that the pavement won't deteriorate unnaturally quickly.
Right,
And then finishing touches around the, environmental compliance, stormwater compliance, and finished paving. We removed an old stump that had been left there yesterday. It was left in front of Mrs. Bacon's house. We got rid of that for her, so that's not our way. It's a very large tree.
yes, all right, thanks. Municipal fire alarm, this is still, I believe, to be addressed after the roof,
Yeah.
so that we don't get into trouble up there on the roof. Municipal gymnasium windows.
So the procurement was completed, a low bidder came in at $44,000, which is well below the budget. And a contract was awarded to Advanced Glass, a minority woman-owned business out of the Boston area. They did their homework. They really did a much more thorough job than the other bidders in trying to understand what the project entailed. They asked the most intelligent question anybody asked, which is did the mason set a flange in the windows when he installed the windows? Because if the flange is in this masonry, it needs to be cut, and it's kind of aggravating to have to cut an aluminum piece of metal that's been set into the masonry, and the answer is no. So the windows were put into the penetrations without any additional anchoring other than bolts. So after the asbestos contractor has finished their work, it's going to be very quick. It's going to be about 2 days project. So that reduces the amount of labor, and the cost came in much lower. So that's why the bid was low.
And this contract includes some kind of shading? Which-
Operated from the floor. We couldn't use wireless because that would have meant we would have had to have power supply at each window,
Yeah.
which we don't have, and that would have been prohibitively expensive. So we just went with pulley, chain and pulley.
Okay. And rec people are aware of this? Okay. Any other questions from anybody?
No,
$44,715.86. Great.
Just be mindful, though, there's asbestos remediation, so that's not a cheap thing. We'll still be way under budget, because I think there's 90-something thousand on this town meeting authorization. We'll probably be in the 60s. But it's another 25,000 or so to get rid of the asbestos. It's a disposal that costs, the labor is nothing.
Yeah,
It's not going to take any time at all, it's getting rid of the stuff.
okay. And it has to go to a special place?
And the paperwork,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay. All right, onward to public safety radio. I think that's moving along.
Very quickly now. So we're looking to be done with this in late spring. The initial conduit was put in place at the high school during February break. They didn't finish. They will finish during April break, when the kids are out of school again, to actually put the tripod on the roof and secure it there and then hook it all up. At the same time, the cable company Spectrum will be in to finish out the dedicated fiber circuit from this building up to the high school. And that will put us all together, so that from the fire station to the high school will be one continuous dedicated fiber circuit. The lease is in place already with Industrial Communications, so that's the tower on the Webster Douglas line.
Yep.
And we just got the lease agreement for American Tower, which is up at the water tank on Church Street. That is not a lease where we pay money, it's just that we are going to be taking up more space than we used to. So when the zoning board approved that, it was made mandatory that the town have access to the tower, so that's not going to change, and there won't be any cost. It's just that our antennas are bigger, this microwave equipment is bigger, so we'll be taking up more room on their pole. So that's, once that's finalized, and the weather permitting, and the riggers can actually go up the tower safely and not have to chip ice on their way up. Work will proceed apace, because the hardware has been ordered. A lot of it's already arrived.
Good.
So,
Okay. Questions? Anybody? So just, Matt, if you would, explain to Bob regarding this radio system, the police, better communication.
So we did a quick diagnostic. We didn't do a quick diagnostic. We knew something was wrong with the radio system. And then we started digging into why is it that we don't reach certain parts of town, and what do we have to do to be able to talk to our mutual aid partners in other towns who have different radio systems from us. The way we sit right here now today is that police and fire are on completely different frequencies. So one is on UHF, the other's on VHF. And we have to buy special radios to allow them to talk to each other on the same handset. Those special radios are much more expensive than a more standard radio with everybody on VHF, just a VHF-enabled radio. But the bigger concern was that the last time the town did this, it relied upon a mathematical model that was provided by the FBI and criminal justice at the federal level. They did some field work here, but it was mostly a mathematical model. And their projections for signal reach and strength of signal at different locations didn't pan out in reality. Douglas has a lot of pine trees. This gets down in the weeds, but it's actually something that you need to know. Pine trees block radio waves. The needles send the radio waves in a million different directions. And due to the changes in elevation and the vegetation in town, it's hard to run a radio system without proper number of broadcasting locations. So we're going to go from one central broadcasting location at the Church Street monopole, supplemented with what we have here, to 3 locations. So there'll be the Douglas Webster line, the Church Street monopole, and then the high school. The first 2 will be connected by microwave, and then the other one will be looped in through fiber backhaul. So we'll be simulcasting on 3 broadcasting locations. Portable radios will vote to whatever's closest to them. That all in is about $750,000, and that was approved by town meeting.
Last year.
Was it last year or a year and a half now? Less than 2 years ago. So it took a lot of upfront work to get ourselves on these towers. American Tower didn't have a choice, but Industrial did, so it took a little while to negotiate. And the other piece of that is we are buying frequency on the VHF band. We had to be approved by the FCC, and that's all lined up as well, so.
Questions? Okay. We're good? Keep us posted. And the next is the municipal main roof replacement. Are you finished with the specs for your,
So I'm going to wait on the roof specs until I'm done with the air conditioning. Is that the next item? Because I can combine it for
I
you.
have no air conditioning.
HVAC rooftop units?
Not on.
No,
Not on
not
there?
on. No,
So there's an existing town meeting appropriation for HVAC units, and it's been on the books for about 5 years. There are 4 rooftop units on this building that were installed by the school department when they had the preschool upstairs. Each one is basically 4 zones up there. Provides all the heating and cooling for the space. Now, the space is not occupied right now, so we don't really tax the system very much. But they're old, right? It was a long time ago when they were installed, and they're exposed to the elements. And the heat exchangers on 3 of the 4 units are now completely unsafe. And so we have 3 of the 4 totally shut down. We are actually maintaining temperature on the second floor of this building with 1, whereas we used to use 4. So we got an initial quote, and I wanted to try to move this along, almost on an emergency basis, right? Because it was right around 50,000, and we're trying to just get competitive quotes to do the work. The engineer who's working on our day tank situation and solving that for us has been asked, because it's under 10,000, to also write the spec for the HVAC units on the rooftop.
okay.
Adam and I, and nobody else, is really expert on the loads that need to be put on the air conditioners and the penetrations of the ceiling, are they the right size, what kind of curbing has to be put in so that when the roofers come, that they can roof right up to the curbing and do a good job of keeping it all sealed. So we're going to have, it's SEAMAN, Seaman Engineering, do this spec for us, and actually, I'm going to have them run the contract so that we have expert advice on this. It's not going to be an expensive project, so the existing budget's already been funded by town meeting, will be sufficient
Okay.
to pay for that. But I'm going to hold the roof. I just don't, everybody gives me assurances. I'm a pessimist, I guess. I don't want a crane swinging or dropping air conditioning units on the roof. It's a brand spanking new roof.
Yeah.
And you just think to yourself, oh my God, they're going to have their one bad day as a crane operator. It's going to be a really lousy day for us. Warranties notwithstanding, right? You still, if you have that kind of damage, then you have to chase the contractor. You have to get the repair.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. We'll do the air conditioning, then we'll do the roof. We're still trying to get the roof done before the fall.
And I have a question.
Yeah.
That roof, it's a flat roof.
Yes.
correct? And it's like a rubber membrane.
There's a membrane. Now, there's a new technology out, and this will be the interesting part for this committee to discuss and make a recommendation on. There's a newer technology now, is a urethane that's sprayed on. Is you spray on your roof. There are pros and cons, and so maybe Selectman Fitzpatrick and others will give us a briefing on the most cost-effective way to deal with this, but it makes some sense, right? Have you ever had an above-ground pool with a liner in it? You get a little hole, you buy a whole new line, if you can fix it, but that's only going to last so long. Let's face it, that's not going to last too many seasons. As opposed to if you spray it on, well, I have a problem, well, then I just take the same spray gun I used to fix it, right? Is that feasible? Is that how it works? Because it makes a lot of sense to me that, for in terms of the longevity of the roof, instead of having to deal with membranes over and over again, we're just going to put spray coats on.
And we did have trouble with that other membrane, with little
Right.
teeny stones under it.
Right.
The silliest little thing, and you think you've brushed it clean,
Yeah.
and you'll walk along, and you'll see an impression that very clearly resembles that of a nail,
Yep.
right? And then you, it was a big issue at one of the roofs that was done at the schools. I think it was primary school, did a roof maybe 10, 12 years ago,
Maybe, yeah.
and they had that issue.
But how long has this urethane spray been used in?
So a few years, there's not a whole lot of history.
Okay.
There are many rival technologies, so I want to explore that before.
Right.
but-
Good.
Because it wouldn't be the same kind of bid. We're not just going to bid a roof, we will specify what system we want to use.
All right, any questions? Ginger?
No, I just want to hear,
Yep.
what Matt comes up with.
Right. Anyone else?
Oh, oh.
Very good. Keep us posted. Oil spill, doing okay? Still, no, huh? Still finding some?
So we've been trying to chase a theory for purposes of litigation to determine what might have gone wrong, and can anybody be blamed, especially if they have money. We've done a lot of good work investigating this, and really, we're coming up dry on theories. Some of the problem is that it turns out the pump was installed a very long time ago, that day pump. And so it's out of the statute of limitations for a defective. When it comes to the quality of the fuel that was put in there, while it is questionable, it was below federal guidelines. So if you're familiar with the fuel industry, it's called B20, which can be up to 20% biofuel is acceptable. We were at 17, so we're under the guideline. If we were over 20, we could say, hey, he's selling us chicken fat. That's not, I would still argue that the pumps that were put in 10, 12 years ago were not designed to handle any biofuel content whatsoever. But building that into a lawsuit is going to be more difficult.
And more money.
It's just a lot of time and energy into something that may not. We might still try to produce a demand letter. We'll see. We do have legal counsel assisting with this, so KP Law has given us Deborah Ecker to give us a little bit of time. The fascinating thing is it always helps to have more than one of anything around, especially when they're dealing with a lot of money. So the environmental consultant that did the cleanup for us and was doing all the paperwork was hired not by us, but by the insurance company. And so you don't interfere with Maya's decision who they trust with this. Now the recommendations start coming back. Well, you need this, you need an under slab ventilation system, you need this, you need that. Oh, we can smell this, you have an air quality issue. And it started to look like, hey, listen, I feel like you're piling, I feel like an Italian BMT. You keep sticking more cheese, more cold cuts, and more lettuce on me. So we're going to have somebody else review your work
Yeah.
to see if we should go forward with what you're recommending. Adam and I are both incredulous, because Adam timed it. 6 minutes after I told the gentleman that we were going to do peer review of his work,
Yeah.
he resigned.
Wow.
Does that look right to you? Does that feel right? So we've received a proposal from peer review. He is actually going to become our LISP, local incident manager for the environmental compliance. And DEP is fine with it, but we are going to do a thorough investigation of all the things that we've already done, because what we're finding is I have a hard time mapping sample results back to the map of where they were taken from, and it doesn't look like there's intent, it just looks a little sloppy.
Yeah.
But it's hundreds of thousands of dollars. So we've put a lid on it, we've stopped the spending, we're not installing anything until another expert comes in and says we actually.
Good. Okay. Does that sound good with everybody?
Yeah.
Yep.
Current testing though is showing good.
So we have groundwater monitoring wells both inside and outside the building. And we had two, I think there's one inside and one outside, that had some VOCs come up in it. You monitor those over a long period of time before you reach any conclusions. So it was bad that it was in there, but it's not the end of the world, because it may just have been collected in the first draw, and it would dissipate over time. So if the guy who resigned very abruptly was in fact correct, there's one area down there where you simply cannot excavate. If the oil reached that area, we would not be able to take it out because it's holding up the building. It would require monumental expense for very low return. So his thought was he was going to put in a system that, if you have radon in your home, you know what this is like. The pipe goes into the ground. It uses negative pressure to draw anything that's evaporating, and then you just vent it to the outside. But that was $36,000, so I didn't want to spend that until.
So until you get sort of an independent recommendation.
We're stopping work until then.
Okay. All right. Any other questions, comments before we get into the fire station generator electrical upgrade?
No.
Okay, we, thank you, everybody, for doing this. So do we have any background checks on any of the companies?
So of the 6 packages you have, I think we'd already done background checks on 4 of them.
Yeah.
And begging your indulgence, if you choose, or if you think 2 of those that you don't have any background checks on might be proceeding as finalists, then we'll do the extra background checks.
Okay,
It's just time is short for us,
yeah,
so. And I can refresh your memory if I need to on the background checks that were done the first time around.
okay,
But you'll notice that the guy doing this building is one of the bidders.
yes,
NV5 was another company that we talked about for this building, is also here. I'm going to forget the other 2.
GGD,
GGD we did the first time through,
Giorgio, DAI,
yeah.
Right.
And,
Salmon,
right, the firm out of Connecticut.
yes. No license.
And that, to me, even though they're one of the 6, that's one of the easiest conversations because we ruled them out, you ruled them out first time because they didn't have the proper license for the project manager. And I don't see that they made any change,
No.
so.
Sorry, which one is that?
The little company out of
Salmon?
Connecticut, Salmon.
Yeah.
Or Salomon.
Salamone.
So, thank you for providing us with the draft. Do you want to go individually each one, or do you have your preferences as to what you think are the best, or any recommendations, Matt?
So, a long time ago, when I took the Foreign Service exam, they said, when you do these group projects, the best way to approach these is to eliminate the weakest first, because that's usually where you get the consensus. I think the little company out of Connecticut can go away, because
Yes.
they seem to be
I
perfectly
agree.
nice people, but there's a database, you can search people's license number and see what their status is. They don't have the right licenses. So that leaves you with 5. You're to send 3 to the Board of Selectmen. So you're really just down to,
5-7,
oh, you have 7?
yeah.
Yes.
All right, 7.
8 submitted.
Yeah, 8 submitted, 1 was late. Is that how that worked?
Yeah, I think so. So,
Anybody else jump out at you as being especially weak?
Rogue,
I agree.
he's a one-man show there,
Yeah, same.
only in business 6 months.
He does have, they do have some that worked for McCutcheon?
McRitchie.
Yeah,
So you're actually looking at Howard's former right-hand guy.
yeah.
Yeah,
But I would agree with you that, when you're that thinly capitalized, this happens a lot in professional services. Not that I ever even did it myself, but you work with your clients, you think, I got this, I can handle the clients.
Yeah.
And then you get out there and you realize, well, they were buying the name. They weren't buying my services, they were buying the name of the firm I worked for, and I think that's where he is at. He's probably a very capable person. I just don't know that I want to be his first client.
Yeah, they're just starting out and, yeah,
The fire station it's got to work,
yes,
so.
Yeah, that same new firm experience with pass firm question mark.
yeah. Right, you want to take a chance on anybody that you think is weak, or,
Other than that, they all look like the same to me, anyway, basically. I'm sure others have gone through, found things that I missed, but
actually, CES was, to me, borderline.
Who was that?
CES,
Okay.
I don't know,
I had the mid.
yeah. Okay. Do you want to still keep them on? You thought they had some good points, or?
do you have specific issues on?
They just didn't, in my opinion, they didn't, I think, what I found impressive about some of the top ones that I chose was their proposal, their job work plan, I'm sorry, their work plan. And I didn't see.
Like a time frame, you mean?
Well, what they were, for example, what was work plan? Collecting data, meeting, looking at all the schematic designs that were possible, delving into what's there and then what needs to be corrected type thing. And I really didn't see that in CES.
I'm sure
a good company. They listed projects that they'd done, what else?
I think they had a very limited staff.
Yes, yes. Do you want to still keep them on the list, or,
I'm okay with setting them aside.
yeah?
Okay,
You, Linda?
yeah.
Ginger?
I can go either way.
Okay, so I think majority is, we'll set them aside?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone, another one?
GGD?
GGD.
Did anybody talk to Bill about their references?
To Matt, yes, I did ask that question.
Well, he said he was gonna go over them after we decided.
Yeah.
It was on the list.
Because some had applied to the present project that's ongoing, but if we
Yeah.
chose a company that is new to this town, he and Lisa would check into their recommendations. Am I correct?
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
So GGD?
What do you think? GGD is,
They had no financials, no time frame, and their staff is only committed to this project 40% available.
Yeah, I would not vote for them.
Okay, so they're gone.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Fred?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what do you got left?
DAI, DeGiorgio, Architectural, and NV5. And McRitchie,
Left, right?
yeah.
Say that again, Shirley, who are they?
So McRitchie, NV5, Architectural Engineers, and DAI, DeGiorgio. I found they did list key personnel. They did have a work plan, but some of the others had quite a bit more.
With DAI.
DAI.
I think they have a high turnover on their staff.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
No time, that time frame was 32 weeks, so at least they gave one.
Yep.
So I'd strike them off.
I could go
Yep.
with that. Ginger?
Yep.
Fred? Okay. NV5, did we do them?
Not yet.
I don't think so. Never mind. Go ahead. Anybody?
You go ahead.
I didn't really find a lot that I was pleased with.
Yeah, I thought they had a limited in-house staff.
Yeah, I agree.
And they didn't give any time frame.
No work plan.
No. They were eliminated last time.
And they were one of the, I think, 4
Yeah.
last time. But they were, yeah.
So eliminate them?
Yeah.
Ginger says yes. Fred says yes. I say yes.
He's moving from left to right. The body language says it all.
But wait a minute, we've got to recommend
Was that
three.
swiping left? Swiping-
We've got to recommend at least three.
So that leaves 3.
Yeah,
So
McRitchie,
architectural engineers and, what was the other one?
oh, that is
Did
it.
Georgia?
No, we
already eliminated
put
them?
those aside, yeah.
So we have 2.
Yeah, but we need to recommend
Well,
three.
NV5 then. I don't know, who would be number 3?
McRitchie, architectural engineers, and, hold on. Who was everybody, who was your third one?
I think I had NV5 as the 3rd.
So did I.
Oh. We can keep them on as the third? Sorry. You're good with that?
Yeah,
So then it comes down to, okay, who's your first, who's your second recommendation? I, myself, again, I found that McRitchie gave a good proposed approach and scope of work. They intend to survey the existing situation. What else? I've got my papers all marked up here. But please, disagree with me if you have any opposition. I did see where they did a Shrewsbury fire station and a Natick fire station, and among other things. Experience, looks good. Then architectural engineers, also 35 years. They have personnel that have years of experience with the firm, 14 versus, and they have another one with 2, but with 15 with other firms.
well, I had that, McRitchie had limited staff, but
Yep.
acceptable, and had architectural engineers, 20 to 40% staff available. So,
They did do, I think, an extensive work plan.
McRitchie?
No, I'm talking about the architectural, and McRitchie had a good work plan too. But if you, and then there's NV5. There we go.
Well, that's number 3.
Yeah. So with McRitchie and architectural engineers, do you want to do a number 1 and 2, or equal?
I'd say equal, NV5.
Yeah,
Equal NV5
Not
and,
equal with NV, those two, like number 1,
Here.
but after those two being.
I'd say we do equal.
for the whole,
for which ones?
McRitchie and architectural.
Yes?
Yeah,
You good with that, Linda?
yes, because we don't have any references for architectural,
Right, yeah, I
right?
know. I would have to do that.
Yeah. So, everybody in agreement?
yes.
Yeah,
Do you want us to do a vote?
If you would, and so what I'll tell you I'll do is, since it's a week and a half before the select board meets,
Yeah.
another week before they have to post their agenda, I will do their references for AEI.
Yep.
And if anything negative comes up, I'll notify this committee.
Okay,
Okay?
Good.
Well, if
That's
everything's
perfect.
positive, we'll just pass it on to the select board.
okay. So I would like to entertain a motion to recommend McRitchie, number 1, architectural engineers, number 2.
Well, they were supposed to be tied.
No, I
No?
got,
Yeah, no, that's how I understood it, they'd be equal.
oh, okay, all right. Sorry.
Start over.
And, sorry, and NV, well, then we end up with, that's okay.
NV5 is an alternate,
Yeah,
or just disregard them?
no, we have to recommend
No.
3.
Yeah, as an alternate.
We have to recommend 3 to the selectmen?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So, Ginger, are you good with that?
Yes, I am.
So do I hear a motion?
So move.
Linda?
You said it, and I so moved it.
Oh, God.
So, again.
It's such a clever thing to do in meetings. I love it when people do it.
No, she does.
What you just said, so move.
No. So, your motion was McRitchie, an architectural engineers equal or tied, and NV5 is the next one,
Yeah, that's a third,
as
yes.
a third. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, motion is made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying, no, I'm going to ask for individual because Ginger's on the phone.
Ginger House says aye.
Linda Brown, aye.
Fred Fontaine, aye.
And you're abstaining?
Abstaining.
Yes.
Bob Werby abstaining.
Yes. Next time, you'll be
Yeah, man.
involved. And your expertise is appreciated when it is. Are you good with that, Matt?
Perfect.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, thank you. Have you had a chance to read the minutes of January 20th and February 16th? If not, we can hold off.
I have not read them.
I haven't read them.
I've read them.
I have two, but that's all right. So we'll hold off till the next meeting, but take them with you to read, please, so we can vote on them.
Okay.
And they have been sent to us, too, by email. For Ginger.
I would hope, but I'll make sure.
Okay.
Okay. Upcoming meetings, April 20th and May 18th. And hopefully we can hold to Wednesday, but if not, I will check with you early so we don't have to postpone.
And how about our bylaw that we were given to read? Over for any changes or?
Well, we would have to recommend the selectmen for a town meeting issue, article.
Yeah, I mean, they closed the warrant last night,
Okay.
Okay,
so, I mean, there's always November.
right.
It's not a big deal.
Yeah,
The only
there's
thing
no
we're
rush to
changing
do it. Yeah,
is the engineer portion.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I asked to have it. Because when I worked with Jen and Matt Benoit on the report for the town book is when I found that it was included. And also, the other issue that's already been voted on is changing the 10,000
Well,
amount
we
to
did-
50. Yes, but it was
Right.
still in the
Still.
report. So
Oh, I didn't know.
we had written it in individually because it was changed at a town meeting. But the new copy has the 50. This is the new
Correct.
copy
And
from,
our annual report has been updated.
Yeah.
To include that.
I hope. Yes, I believe so. All right, any other questions, comments, issues you want brought up?
No,
No.
all these items, they want, lots of good news there as far as budget, why everything under
Yes.
budget.
Yes.
Stuff's happening, moving along.
Yes. And don't forget, town meeting is coming up, and Mike Fitzpatrick, who is an advisor to us as well as being a selectman, he will be meeting with the Finance Committee on the 29th?
29th, yeah,
Yeah.
for capital.
And he's also chairman of the Capitol. All right, if I hear no other comments, questions, issues, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second?
I'm going to ask for individual vote.
Fred Fontaine, aye.
Bob Warner.
Ginger Howe, aye.
Linda?
Linda Brown, aye.
Unanimous. Thank you, everybody, and we're adjourning at, I can't see the clock here.
5:26, 27.
5:27.